Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 20th, Monday, and I don't know. It seems like, as always, that the market could go somewhere, but at the moment, I'm not really seeing a whole lot. I don't know, not a whole lot of exciting at the moment. So let's come in and look at the charts. It's kind of well, I'll explain why it's a little weird. Okay. First, let's look at the E-mini. E-mini, when you look at the chart, it looks sideways. There's actually a good 15-point drop from the high to the low, but it's still within the range, and this is pretty normal for the week. And the last week was pretty difficult range-bound action, and so we're continuing to see that in the E-mini. In the Treasury, we saw a drop overnight, and we come right back up. So they started the bidding low, and they've pushed them up. I want to point here on our indicator here. You can see quite a bit of market buying as we've moved up this morning over the past hour. A bit of, I don't know how to put it. I mean, their cost basis rose a little bit, but not a ton. So it looks like this was mostly market buying. Right. In the currencies, we're seeing the euro move a little bit higher, and the dollar, looks like it's decisively breaking lower now. We've been around 96 for a while. Now we're at 95.74, so we're down a quarter. Also, gold up a little bit, kind of bouncing off of 1800 on Friday. Well, test of 1800 and back up. We should come back over here and also check oil. Oil a little bit down as well. So, and then the next thing is we should come over here and look at what we've got on the docket for the week. Good morning, Uzi, by the way. Oh, yes, let's start our text to speech. Let's start our news squawk. All right. Let's look at what's we got on the docket for this week. Nothing for today. All right. So Wednesday, we've got existing home sales. Thursday, unemployment claims. And Friday, we got some flash manufacturing PMI. So, the week is really empty. So we're going to be looking towards, unexpected news flow, largely here. But I think that this week could be a difficult week. I'm sure that one of these days we're going to see a pretty good move. But overall, I think that we're going to find the action to be difficult. And I also think that, how we're looking at our cost basis is going to be where we want to spend our time this week. So let's turn that on to auto read. Now, I got something else going on here. I changed some stuff. Yeah, there's a problem. I changed one of my indicators for the level 2 stuff, and it is not behaving correctly. It is not behaving.
Knesset says one of our dogs leapt into bed while I was laying down yesterday. Yeah, I took 90 pounds of husky paw to the right Iron Man. It sucks lol.
Oh, geez, what? Freaking man. Dogs sometimes. Yeah, I've got to get into here and figure out what's going on.
Uzi Knesset says like 80 grit sandpaper to your eyeball.
Oh, that's funny, dude. I don't know what to make of it. One of these is not. I'm bet you that I'm having an issue with pointers and stuff where I think that it's updating a value and it's actually not. Yeah, see, I'm trying to get the current. Hmm. Hmm. I'm just like right back to where I was before, and I'm like, there's not. That can't be right. Oh, I remember where I was. Oh, that's right. I was programming, and I was making a chart, and then I lost data because the market shut down, and so I couldn't really test level 2 stuff. That's what happened. That's where I was. I'm gonna pull this down, and this. Hmm. Yeah, there's something wrong with my book. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with the book because notice that half of these like just disappeared. Mm-hmm. That's what's wrong. So these level 2, I don't know what I changed, but these level 2s are not. I think that what happened was when I changed this, some of these things down here aren't working correctly. Um, let's just do this summary bit down here. Let's make it draw the offers to. Okay. Aha. Let's see. Sometimes my algorithm for updating the book that way is wrong because sometimes it skips levels. Well, I don't know if I really want to get into modifying that, but let's just keep in mind that some of these histograms are just not going to be reliable. The histograms, the level 2 histograms aren't. Ooh, sometimes it really screws up. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, but our treasuries are coming back a little bit. I'm kind of tempted to go short them here. Um, but I don't really have a good reason to. I mean, this move up to, 16 area, this is where we've been for a long time, isn't it? So, what do we got in here? Dr. Anthony Fauci has praised New York for its handling of the coronavirus pandemic, saying the state responded correctly to bring its outbreak under control. Why would he say that? Hmm. Let's do something. I wonder. New York. Arizona.
Uzi Knesset says pandemic cheat code, let virus kill 30,000 vulnerable people first.
No, that's not funny. I'm not laughing at that. Positivity. Do they have the deaths per
Uzi
capita on
Knesset says,
this
I
one?
mean, that's what he did lol.
This one doesn't. It doesn't. This tracker doesn't have deaths per capita. Coronavirus death per capita by state. Here's a great. Here, this one is a great. Okay, so where is Arizona? Arizona is 38. So here is where I really think that the media is playing fast with the. Oh, you know what? Why do I have this over here? You don't want to see that. They're playing loose with the stats, dude. They are, guys. Here's the thing. They're talking about the death rate, and they're saying the United States has the highest death per capita rate. And Donald Trump is saying, well, no, because we have the lowest death per confirmed case rate. So we've done a really good job. Well, neither of those metrics really tell you what's going on. The death per capita rate, the primary factor in your death per capita rate is going to be whether or not you've experienced a wave yet or not. Look at the states. If you want to go so they say let's compare country. I'm saying let's compare states. Let's compare Arizona to New York. Who has a better death rate? Well, Arizona does.
Uzi
I
Knesset says,
I
bro, this data is all such a mess. There's too much incentive to have as many cases as possible.
well, that might be. I haven't seen enough evidence in that because you're always going to get errors in data like that, right? You're always going to get errors in data like that. I haven't seen enough evidence to convince me that it's that significant. But it would be very difficult to prove, right? At least at this time. Somebody will be able to go back and look and find, look at every case and determine, okay, did they actually die of coronavirus? And then make some determination about how legit each death was, and then we could find out what percentage of them was really actually inflated. But anyways, if you want to go death per capita, then hey, New York's response was really bad. Anthony Fauci says that they're doing the best.
Uzi Knesset says, if you got to make the case for how COVID killed a guy that died in a motorcycle accident which just recently happened here in FL, you got to be desperate.
Right. Well, the thing that's weird is why, I don't know, in like those individual cases like that for sure. But this is where I'm saying, like, dude, with anything like this, you're gonna get errors. Let's talk about errors, okay? Early voting, where was it? There's early voting Well, there was a primary the other day, and there's one of these primaries. The difference is only like 500, 600 votes or something like that between the two guys, and um, 20% of the early voting ballots got thrown out. 20%. Can you believe that? 20%, 16,000 ballots thrown out because they didn't match the signature or whatever the reason was. 16,000. The margin of error in this race is 600 people. Yeah, like I doubt you. I highly doubt that the media is going to pay much attention to it, but the whole early voting thing is
Uzi
like
Knesset says
falling
absolutely.
apart.
That's the point of mail-in voting, to undermine elections.
It is totally falling. It's not just totally falling apart, but the all of the political people are realizing how bad the early voting is going to be in the presidential, and they're starting to fight against it because they're realizing that it takes so long for them to count the mail-in ballots, and so many of them get thrown out that it would cast a huge shadow over the election. Because what's going to happen is we're going to get there on election night, and we're going to get one result, and then the
Uzi
mail-in
Knesset says,
ballots
oh
are
hey,
going to
how
come
do I
in.
change this accent back to normal? I'm getting tired of it, lol.
You're getting tired of it? You just change it back to default.
Sunday Driver says this election is going to be lit.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, the Donald Trump supporters are certainly excited to have the election. They want it now.
Uzi Knesset
They
says, info.
can't wait. They can't wait to get to the voting booth. Yeah, just exclamation mark accent defaults. Doesn't list it down in there, but defaults. Silver hits $20. Well, treasuries are
Uzi
going to come in
Knesset
back up.
says, set accent default.
Cool. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, we've got 11 people that have set accents. That's interesting. Most of them the UK one.
Uzi Knesset says absolutely. That's the point of mail-in voting. To undermine elections. Uzi Knesset says the Indian accent, while fun, is too low volume for my ancient 38-year-old ears
Oops, I
lol.
shouldn't have clicked that.
Uzi Knesset says the
Ask me to
Indian
read it
accent,
twice.
while fun, is too low volume for my ancient 38-year-old ears lol.
Okay. Hmm. How is it so bad? It was working before, though. Before I made that change. Well, I should have done it before I made that change so that I could compare. But what we're seeing in my level 2 histograms right now is bunk. I'm just gonna close that. I can do it later today and tomorrow night. I don't know. So there, but anyways, there was this thing where Chris Wallace, he showed this death rate per capita stat, and he's like, see, your administration is not doing a very good job. But then when you look at it, it's like, okay, the U.S.'s number is based largely on these Democrat cities. It's like, come on, man. Oh, they're totally screwing with the stats here.
Sunday driver says, did you hear about the judge whose son was killed and husband shot? She was
I mean, I
assigned a
don't
case
really want
linked
to
to
talk
Epstein.
about it. I don't
Uzi
really want to
Knesset
talk
says
about
maybe
it.
it's just me, but with Rona, the record-breaking and record-shattering headlines day after day make me feel more like it's a contest than it is a major concern. Person shrugging.
Oh, I don't know about that, Uzi. Okay, so first about the judge, we don't know anything, so I'm not gonna speculate. She was assigned to an Epstein case. People are saying that she was shot because we don't know that. You're just making a connection. That's not proof. That's gonna drive conspiracy theorists crazy. I don't know anything about it. So, and the thing that bothers me the most about it is that it is sucking all of the air out of the room. Like when I go on to the Donald, that's like all they want to talk about. And the things that are interesting to me are like getting thrown by the wayside. Like to me, it's interesting that Portland has been seeing riots every night for the past 50 days. And some federal officers have been coming in, making arrests and detaining people and then letting them go. And the left seems to think that this is like the secret police taking away their rights. Okay, like maybe if they held you indefinitely or something, if you were held for a week without, due process, maybe that would be a big thing. And this is what the left is triggered about. Okay, maybe actually enforce the law in your city. Listen, because all these people say, oh yeah, if law enforcement just step it up, it'll just make it worse. No, it won't. You know what they did in my city? They said they shut it down. They literally brought every police officer in the entire valley to where this riot was to deal with the riot. They enforced a curfew. Anybody that didn't abide by their curfew was arrested, and that was the end of it.
Uzi Knesset says help, they're taking away my right to deck myself out entirely in black and anonymously set fire to courthouses and police stations.
Right. Listen, I'm not going to feel bad for communists. Quite frankly, if they were taking away your rights and you were a communist, wouldn't care. Wouldn't care. Of course, I wouldn't say that it's right.
Tim Pool is suggesting that the person that got arrested was a federal informant.
Yeah. So that is one thing was there were some people saying that they didn't do anything, that they just came along. Somebody wasn't doing anything, and they just come along and pick up the guy. And could that be a federal informant? Sure, could. It could be them extracting somebody out. I don't know. This is again another case where we don't really know a whole lot, so it's like. But I'm not gonna feel bad for communists. Like seriously, I know it's not right. And maybe somebody's due process rights were violated, and
Stephen Wright
if
says
they
I'm
were,
up
they
in
should do
Detroit,
something
thought
about
it went
it.
fairly well here. It's all relative, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that the rule of law should always be enforced, and if somebody was unlawfully detained or whatever, they should
Uzi
sue.
Knesset says
But I'm
who would
not
you
going to feel
rather
bad
be?
for them.
The innocent bystander randomly assaulted by masked communists or the masked communist arrested and released by feds?
Right.
Lol.
The other one that was interesting yesterday was that Michelle Malkin threw a rally of some sort in favor of the police, and they basically got assaulted by Antifa. Now, the only video that they have on that one is like really shaky, and I can't really tell what's going on. But I will tell you this: Michelle Malkin is the most powerful conservative on the internet, and they're going to be so triggered. I would think that the whole conservative media is going to be hyper triggered today. But I haven't heard a whole lot about it yet. Everybody's talking about this stupid Epstein thing.
Sunday driver says it's a relatively small number. Maybe a few thousand. Arrest them all and hold them.
Ace Trades
Morning,
says
Ace.
morning.
Oh, you're in early. How are you doing? I don't know about this market. It just doesn't look very fertile to me today, guys. We did get a lot of volume up there.
Sunday driver says I think the woman judge is being targeted by the global pedo ring.
Who knows, dude?
Ace Trades says good, just saying hi, then going to jump into my room.
Oh, yeah. Well, good luck, because this is, there's not a whole lot of news this week. It's going to be rough, I think. I'm kind of afraid to click in and start trading.
Ace Trades says short 3,209.00. Uzi Knesset says good luck today at ACE Trades slightly smiling face. Ace Trades says at UZI Knesset good morning.
US is 23rd in per capita testing. That's not true.
Sunday driver says gold up.
Ace Trades says at Sunday driver not the last 10 minutes.
Sunday driver says doesn't it seem strange? It wasn't a random thing. A hitman acting like a FedEx driver is right out of the movies. This was a professional
Right?
job.
It's pretty crazy, but I don't care. Sorry. It's not like it's not a big thing, but it's there's not enough information to really know what's going on. So it's like it's interesting, but like what is there to talk about? What is there to talk about? Judge got attacked. Doesn't have any
Ace Trades
applicability to
says at Sunday
markets.
driver you are connecting dots with silly string.
Yeah, we don't know why that person did what he did or what the claim is. We know there's a big manhunt, but
Ace Trades says that is exactly how I, an amateur, would do it.
Sunday driver says at ACE Trades thanks. I get my quotes from CNBC.com.
that's funny. We don't know anything about it.
Sunday driver says they'll never find the hitman. He's already in Amsterdam.
Ace Trades says got to go. Everyone have a great trading day. Short if it gets below 3,209. Uzi Knesset says see ya at ACE Trades hand waving.
Short if it's below 09. All right. So I am looking at my cost basis, and there's a line at 3207. 3207 is the break even point for the buyers. And although it's common to see them probe through it, there will probably be some support there. This is so weird. So I made this I'm man. So I made this comment yesterday, going back to the per capita um deaths rate. Made a post on Reddit pointing out why both sides are misinterpreting the data or being misleading. And one of the things is I'm getting a bunch of people arguing with me that the United States isn't doing more testing than other countries, which is just demonstrably false. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, even a most basic Google search will pull up the John Hopkins University dashboard and it will show you that the United States is doing more testing than everybody else. Like, this is really easy to check, and all of these people are telling me I'm wrong. Like, okay, this is super weird, right? But this is again, where did I have it open? I had it open over here. Death rate by state. So everybody is making a big deal about deaths per capita. Okay, well, man, cut out all of these guys. Cut out the northeastern seaboard that basically threw all of their elderly to the wolves. Okay, do an average here. Our deaths per million is really like 59.
Uzi Knesset says not really. Virus is political. Reddit is leftist. Leftists have most to gain in US botching virus response. Reddit will argue you on it.
They are so out of it. Like, okay. Deaths per 100,000 population. Now, where is it per capita? No, it doesn't matter. So this was per 100,000 people. They're giving it a number. Why does this one give it a percentage? Oh, there we go. Deaths per 100,000 population. Okay. So, if we rank the United States here, let's be generous. Let's say 76. Okay. So that would put us above Italy and Sweden. Even 76 might be a little high, to be honest. Louisiana is pretty ugly. But when you do like the overall, you get rid of these guys. How come the U.S. is not? Oh, the U.S. is down here at 42 on the John Hopkins University one. Oh, we're ahead of Brazil. But look at all these. France is a higher deaths per 100,000 population. Is this data recent? Well, this is the John Hopkins University website. Was last updated on the 20th. Dude, like they're just being totally dishonest with these freaking numbers, man.
Sunday Driver says wow. Did you read that Deutsche Bank is also involved in the case that got the judge's family killed? Just wow.
Who-
Frowning face.
Uzi Knesset says it's funny how when you do deaths per X amount of people, by location, you get this scary narrative. but when you do total deaths as a percentage of global population, COVID
Oh,
doesn't even
right.
register lol.
Well, here again, the issue is that something like 20% of people require hospitalization. Like that's bad, right? It seems to me that this virus was engineered to be the maximum economic devastation, which is that you don't really have to do a whole lot. You just have to have hospital capacity. And if you have the hospital capacity, then you're just fine. And if you don't, then it's the worst thing that happened since the bubonic plague. That's the issue. And yeah, so most places in the United States have enough capacity, it turns out. Most places in the United States have enough capacity, it turns out. And people are still freaking out. They don't understand the numbers. They're being lied to. The USA is doing more testing because the US has more cases. Okay. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. This is what I love about this thread on Reddit that I'm so preoccupied with at the moment is that I came in and I said, "Hey, you're going to have to look at a number of factors to see how effective somebody's response is." And then a bunch of people come in and say, "Well, you're wrong because you have to look at a number of factors to determine how effective your response is." It's just like, hey, deaths per capita is not the best thing. Like, here's a case where would you agree that Arizona has a better
Knesset says I
response than
still
New
think
York?
hospitalizations are a little misleading given the fact that, even without COVID, people still go to emergency rooms for common colds.
Well, if you can confirm cases that are hospitalized, that is a good one.
Knesset says for a lot of people here, hospitals are their doctors.
I wonder if you go to how do they determine that you're hospitalized? Is it like if you just go to the hospital, or is it that you actually stayed the night? How do they determine that? That would be something to look at. But I think that it's going to give you a much better idea. The issue is you can't just determine how good a
Sunday
response
driver
was
says
off
the
of
judge
one
being
thing.
shot proves that Maxwell is not safe.
Okay, Sunday. When
Knesset
something
says,
happens
in hell,
on it,
do they even let you leave the hospital if you test positive?
right? Well, did you hear about this thing in where was it? Like Tennessee or something like that? It was some podunk state where the couple
Knesset
refused
says
to.
Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah, where the couple refused to sign the documents that they
Knesset
would
says they
be
bricked a couple.
uh, quarantined, and so they put them under house arrest. I don't know what the deal is with that one. Can they sue back? We'll see. That one should be watched. There's going to be a lot of these stories that you're going to hear in the news, and then you don't watch it, and you're going to find out later there's going to be something that makes the story not as big of a deal, or more of a big deal, but people don't follow up on it, and so they don't realize what happens.
Knesset says so. If I go to the hospital, and they test me, and I test positive, I'd wager they don't let you leave assuming they have somewhere to put you. Knesset says objectively speaking, as a COVID patient, you, effectively a fucking gold bar for the hospital lol. Uzi Knesset says my neighbor was telling me he went out and got tested. Told him if he tests positive that he better not dare tell the state we talked lol.
That's funny. You know what's another one that's funny is the freaking the mask thing. So my opinion is that the most recent studies that look pretty solid to me suggest that masks can help limit the spread of coronavirus. They don't 100% stop it, of course, but they do limit the spread of coronavirus. And this is because coronavirus is spread largely by water droplets, and a cloth mask does stop water droplets. So, or at least the vast majority of them. So it can prevent the spread. But some people are like so totally just absolutely convinced that this is like a huge hoax of some sort. And how was I bringing that back to what you were saying, Uzi? I don't even remember now. I should keep my eyes over here at the treasury. 17. This is just the whole thing is just crazy. Oh, now
Uzi
I
Knesset
remember.
says I'm not anti-mask or anything, but the fact that people are okay with being forced to wear them is a little unsettling.
Oh yeah. I mean, here's the thing that I think is a little interesting. I was watching a video. Oh, so the point that I was going to make there was some people were saying that in Salt Lake City they mandated masks, and in Utah County, here in Utah, they didn't. And the number of cases is going up in Utah County and not in Salt Lake County. And they say this proves that masks works. And I'm like, well, correlation doesn't prove causation, guys. Again, you're playing loose with the statistics. Anyways, so I was watching on TikTok the other day, and there was this one TikTok that basically would take old Milton Friedman speeches or specials and make fun drawings for them. And one of the things that they were talking about was how you determine if something is like where is the government's place. And he was saying that that the reason that for a libertarian that it's okay for the government to come in and impose regulation or whatever is to is to deal with cases where the actions of a company or an individual has a negative impact on other people. So, for instance, it's okay to come in and make environmental regulations because if you dump poison into the
Uzi
water,
Knesset
it
says I still
poisons the
stand
water
by
for
something I
everybody
said
else.
early on. Wearing masks has become so socialized, meaning, memes, moral superiority, etc. that people will pay more attention to masks than they will washing hands.
Oh yeah, washing hands might be more important. Might be right. Anyways, so if the place of
Uzi Knesset
government,
says invariably keeping the spread up.
yeah, if the government's if we're a libertarian, when the government should intercede is when your actions can have a negative impact on other people. Isn't that exactly what we're talking about? Is that you going outside and not wearing a mask can have a negative impact on people? It is. It 100% is. Now, I have to think about that, and it's like, yeah, but I don't think that the government should force you to wear a mask. But the more that I think about it, I don't think that there is any constitutional uh, argument that I can make that says that they can't make that law. I think they can make that law. So, is this just a case where we just have to expect the government to use reason and know when it's not worth it to impose something? I guess. I mean, that's what Donald Trump is saying. Because when they asked him about it, he didn't say, "Well, I don't think masks work." He said, "I think that that people should be allowed a certain amount of freedom." Okay, that makes sense. Sure, but it's kind of interesting like that. Now, the other one that's interesting I was asking, my wife was talking about it, like what they're going to do with the schools. And I'm like, they're really going to make the kids just wear face masks like literally all day. And she's like, well, no, because I don't think they're going to make them wear it at recess. And I don't think they're going to make them wear it at, when they're in class because they'll have barriers up between everybody. So it's just when they're like walking in the halls and stuff. And I'm like, doesn't that like defeat the whole purpose of wearing masks at that point? Like, come on. That's silly. At that point it's silly. But you kind of have to admit that the kids go back to school. You're going to have a rise in cases. So you are. You just are. For
Uzi
places
Knesset
like,
says or wear gloves.
yeah, wear gloves. Here in Utah, you have a rise in cases, it'll be fine. You're not going to breach hospital capacity. That's the whole point, right? So I don't think that you can justify closing down the schools in Utah, but maybe in other areas they're not as well off, and it would be a problem. And you'd have to go on a case by case basis.
Sunday driver says did FedEx say the driver was definitely not an employee?
Mm.
Uzi Knesset says I got friends in NY who said absolutely nothing about their state collapsing under the right of COVID corpses, but now they all talkie about Florida lol.
So this guy is showing me a okay. So they're saying that tests per million population, tests per 100,000 population. So US is 167, right? So if we're doing it by thousands, then the United States should be 167,000. But on this one, it has the US at 146. I think that their data is just off. And that's a good question. So this guy has a good question. Why is the US 23rd in tests per 1 million population on this particular dashboard? Well, they say deaths per 1 million population 433, and that's not even anywhere close for the. Hmm. I can't explain. Although I can explain that the one is that these countries that are up above the United States are all very, very small. That must not be what they're saying it is. But here they're saying here's total tests. Well, let's just confirm that that's how they're deriving it. They say the population in the U.S. is 331,102,850 divided by total tests for
Uzi Knesset says wow, we've tested 3 million people here in FL.
345,508. results in... Oh, no, that's not how you do it. That's definitely not how they're calculating it. That's percentage of the population that's been tested. That's 6%. That's how they're deriving it. So it is calculated. Now, well, it's close because even if I do their exact numbers, it doesn't come out to exactly what it is. Hmm. I think that this one is deaths per day. Let's see.
Uzi Knesset says so. Curious. What scenario do you think would cause buyer and seller cost basis to decrease at a high ZB right now?
Is that what's happening in CB? I didn't add it on there. Hold on. Use the older version. Cumulative. Substantially decreased? Oh. Well, I think that what would cause that,
Uzi Knesset says, and what would that imply in terms of context thinking face?
I think that what that would mean was that there was a lot of limit orders being filled at the highs, and therefore the guys that got long and the guys that got short all canceled their orders out. So just a guess. You have to like really dive into the numbers, right? But let's say that you have a profile, right? Okay. And it's like this.
Sunday Driver says Paul Krugman today says that we are heading toward economic collapse.
He always thinks.
Uzi
some
Knesset
things
says,
are so
just
bad.
curious, since I'm not intimate with the code, trying to assign context and stuff.
Right. So what we do is we look at, you know, the orders that can be matched up. We cancel them all out, and then what's left gives you a cost basis, right? So if we're continuing to track things, there's going to be some orders left down here that never got filled, essentially, right? That are now that are holding the average down. Now, okay, so maybe that's not true, because if there was a bunch of them that occurred up here, then these would get canceled out, and that would move the cost basis up, which means that the disparity must have been increased. So if there was a buy disparity down in here, or rather there were more market sells down in here, and that caused the cost basis to be mostly buy, and then you come up and they're doing it again. And so that brings it down here because less of these are getting canceled out. Because these orders, but what happens is I store this and redo the calculation every time. So like it can be the case that these levels down here are being canceled out on this bar and this bar, or they're being canceled out on this bar, not on this bar, but then they're being canceled out on this bar again because there was a change in the number of market orders. So we come over here and we look at ZB. There's this point and there's this point, right? And you can see here that the cumulative delta is all along.
Uzi Knesset says, oh, yours looks different from mine.
Does it look different from yours? I mean, there might be little slight differences, but is that significantly different from yours?
Uzi Knesset says, oh wait, not really, you're just zoomed in more.
Oh, okay. But we can clearly see that the spot where that's causing it, right?
Uzi Knesset says, lol, I'm a potato, disregard me lol.
It's this area right here.
Sunday Driver says, where are you guys getting those charts?
Ninja Trader. I haven't, it's an indicator that I wrote that I haven't made public, but that I gave Uzi for testing.
Sunday Driver says, is Ninja Trader free?
Ninja Trader you can download for free, yes. If you want to actually start trading with it, that's a different issue. But this is the indicator that we're looking at is something that I wrote that you won't find anywhere. I'm really curious. Like the best way to explain this would be to actually draw out the profiles. Right? Because you come in and you do these canceling things out. Right? The way it works is you'd be like, here's numbers. Or let's not do them with X's, let's do them with O's.
Uzi Knesset says, I get it. No need to rope yourself into anything else.
Yeah. So when I start on the buy cost basis, I start doing this. Okay. Maybe some of these don't cancel out and some of them do. And then I get this buy cost basis that's up here. Right. But then, when I come now, some more volume is traded in through here. These get merged in, and now all of a sudden, this, maybe this and this canceled out, or this canceled out these two. But then because the more volume happened here at this case, this one doesn't get canceled out. Or I'm not quite sure. The honest truth is I'm not 100% sure. I would think I would have to really drive into which exact number ended up being bigger and therefore cause it to go down.
Uzi Knesset says, as Tim Pool would say, it's complicated.
It's complicated. I'm surprised how many of you guys watched that podcast where him and that other guy argue. Was seeing that on the Donald the other day, and they're all really mad at Tim Pool because he refuses to acknowledge some things that are really obvious. This is because he's playing it like.
Uzi Knesset says yeah, Tim's milking the right-wingers for everything he can before Trump is no longer president and people stop caring what he thinks. Uzi Knesset says a lot of political YouTubers are gonna face that reckoning.
Well, will he still be irrelevant if Donald Trump wasn't president? Hmm.
Uzi Knesset says once Trump is out of office, however that happens, online political activity is gonna plummet.
Why do you think that? You don't think that if Joe Biden became president that there wouldn't be a ton of activity off of that? Listen, if you give Antifa a win here, the amount of political activity and vitriol online about politics is not going to decrease. It's not going to decrease. Quite frankly, if Donald Trump becomes president,
KR says only from right-wingers talking to themselves. No else cares anymore.
if I think that you'd have a bigger drop
Sunday
if Donald
Driver
Trump
says I think the
won.
right will be highly energized if Trump loses.
I think they'll be highly energized either way. The right understands that this is not just about Donald Trump. See, you go back and look at the memes. What is the thing that they're always saying? This isn't about you, Donald Trump.
Uzi Knesset
He's
says
just
yeah,
in
but the
their
thing
way.
is, an energized right is like an energized snail. It's virtually meaningless. KR says energized to cry for 4 years. Alone.
I mean, you've seen that meme where it's like it's you that they hate. Donald Trump is just in the way. You've seen that meme before? There's a really, really popular meme on the right. Is right. You know what I'm talking about? The right is energized, and they're not just going to disappear with Donald Trump going away. If they lose, they're going to go and they're going to find a better candidate, and they're going to come back twice as hard because the left is extremely far left, and they are basically attacking their livelihood. So, I mean, think about some of the things that are supposedly going to happen if Joe Biden becomes president. Well, for one thing, Antifa would be emboldened and would start to, you know, reduce funding to the police departments, and we'd see a rising crime rate. Number one. And number two, they're going to take away the city's rights to determine zoning requirements so that they can force low income housing projects into everybody's neighborhood. The suburbs are going to be pissed, dude. This is when the suburbs realize what's happening, it is going to be like, whew, look out. I think something's wrong with my microphone. I'm going to try and adjust it here. It feels like too low to me. That seems more correct. I don't know what happened. Maybe it got bumped or something. Anyways, so it wouldn't just end with Joe Biden. It just wouldn't.
Sunday Driver says the energized right is focused on all the wrong things. They focus on Q bullshit when they should be focused on taking the country back.
KR says the only reason it's so bad currently is because there is a belligerent minority. Once the majority is in power, it's no longer relevant.
Oh, I don't.
Uzi
think that's
Knesset
true.
says the side that will dominate is the side that not only has less to lose but has the media backing them to manipulate the in-betweeners. The right doesn't have either. RJ Wheels says anyone having overnight data issues? I'm on CQG. No data from overnight.
So I have CQG. I get the data from overnight. I have had occasions where that happened to me, and all I had to do was just reload historical data. Okay, I'm getting some clicking. We're coming up on the E-mini open.
RJ Wheels says tried reload. And reboot.
I'm still a little weirded out by the ZB cost basis going down like that. I'm sitting here like, is it a bug in my code? Like, how does that happen? If price is trading higher,
RJ Wheels says oh well.
can't it only
Old
bring it
school.
up
Just
higher?
trade right edge today.
It could be a bug. It doesn't necessarily make sense to me.
Uzi Knesset says maybe buyers and sellers just offloaded inventory they bought and sold at higher prices.
I think so. I think thinking about it a little bit more is this area right here, right? So I think that what happened was somebody took a big position right here, and then when it moved up,
Sunday
it
Driver
came
says
off.
off to a Zoom meeting. Later. Don't answer the door if it's a FedEx driver.
So this thing right here was this area right here was kind of pushing it up, and especially this right here. And then when they got up to here, the guys that got long took their profits, and that's why it reduced the cost basis again. Because the longs that are still in are the ones from way back in here and from this. Because what it's saying is when you cancel out all of the volume that is still it's still open, if you cancel out all of the limit orders and you assume that the ones that are left are still open, and then you take the VWAP of that. So it means that the guys that bought higher took their profits. That's what it has to mean. The exact mechanics of how that happened are a little bit fuzzy to me, but it's Monday, you know? And in terms of what that means on the chart is where I'm really start to get. So what does that mean? I think it might mean that it could come back. Well, there's the E-mini's first impulse is long, and it's pretty strong. And the treasuries took a dive there because of it.
Uzi Knesset says you ever have all your Jigsaw profiles just randomly reset mid-session?
Yes. But usually, if my connection will just randomly reset and then the profiles all go blank and then it has to reload the data again. That happens all the time.
Uzi Knesset says that just happened to me, lol. RJ Wheels says I think it is a bug, Seth. Thanks. Rebuilding workspace.
Oh yeah. So see, you can just rebuild. You can just reload a historical data, and NinjaTrader fixes those sorts of things.
Kevin Wimmer says inside day on Friday we got Friday's low but not Thursday's, and after that reversal and double distribution. Targets would be around 25 and 28. Man could have traded this day so much better. Only 2 points.
There we go. I think I fixed it.
RJ Wheels says workspace corruption likely from using Ninja Replay.
Ninja still seems to have some workspace issues. You can get these weird, especially if you have tick replay indicators on, you can get these weird situations where it's just the amount of data that it's trying to load takes forever for some reason. Okay. So there was the long. It's coming back. Not to the overnight high per se. They're close. Then we look at Friday. Friday's profile was mostly down in 3202 area. Profile, if they're going to go higher, if they're really going to go higher, it's going to bust out of the range here in the ES. So I'm a little weary about trying to follow along with the long. Yeah, it's getting messy now. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 3200.
Kevin Wimmer says yeah, new session, new luck. But after the huge reversal since London and rejection of Thursday's low, I would be surprised if they didn't go for the overnight highs.
Well, they did go for them. They didn't touch them. I don't know. $31.85. 3207 was where I was looking to see. So if we wanted to take a long, 3207 is a good spot. Gonna watch it here. Gonna start watching it a little more closely here. Wait, that's not right. Oh yeah, it is. Never mind. It's correct. Didn't set a stop for me though. That's weird. Set one. Okay, 15 is a line here. 3 to 15. Okay, there's definitely volume there. Okay. So they're building up some good volume up there, but they're going to have to pull back. In fact, they could pull back to my original entry. Damn. That was it reacted almost exactly where I thought it would. Oh, the treasuries went and touched 15. We should have put an order right there.
Kevin Wimmer says I guess gonna stay on the sidelines in the Amini. Too volatile for me, not fond of bigger stops.
It's a little. I don't know if I would say that it's volatile, but they're fighting a lot, aren't they? Hmm. Okay. Spire's taking on a little bit of risk there, I think. Seller's definitely taking on some risk. Sellers probably want to see us below 3,200.
Kevin Wimmer says I mean the opening 15 minutes right now are almost the same as the whole range on Thursday lol. If you remember, this range day.
Yeah. Is it more the whole range of Wednesday? I don't know about that. 32.20 to 32.10. I mean, it's 10 points. But 10 points lately hasn't been that much. 10 points has been what you're picking up on average. Last week was very range bound, comparatively speaking. There's been so much movement in this area that I can't actually see. I'm going to have to change this from a square to a horizontal line to just always show me the most recent value, I think. Yeah, you see how the menu one stopped updating? It's because it's reloading. Hopefully, I didn't just completely kill it. It takes a while for that one to reload, though. It looks to me like the buyers are holding their line so far. I haven't heard Financial Juice say anything today. Wonder if I'm muted it or something. Market here posting gamma positioning. And what does that tell us? Dealers look stuck long gamma call sensitivities down.
Kevin
posting
Wimmer says I mean if I wanted to long the Amini and let's say I got 08 long entry. My stop should be below the session low, probably below the overnight support, so let's say 03. That's 5 points with 2 contracts, $500.
Yeah, stuck between 3,200 and 3,000.
Kevin Wimmer says that's way too much for me to risk on a trade.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know about that one. You can just do 2 points or whatever. Whoa, what? Oh, okay, I see what happened. It's fine. What the heck?
Uzi Knesset says just reload the data. Kevin Wimmer says I guess I could always trade the MES in those circumstances, but meh. Uzi Knesset says happened to me before.
That's weird. Now the chart is really jacked up, isn't it?
Uzi Knesset says reload data on that chart, bro. Should fix.
No, it's because of this. There is. I think that I've got a bug in it with that dealing with the auto whatever. Did I get rid of? Oh, yeah, just delete it. Basically, it always wants to auto scale it to 0. But it'll fix it here. Saudi stock slump after King Salman admitted to a hospital. Across the U.S., staffers, they would normally set traps for
Kevin
mosquitoes have
Wimmer
been
says
pulled
well,
away.
and they stopped you OUT because you had your stop few ticks above the low and had to re-enter.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm looking at that spot where the longs are. They're gonna probe it. I probably could have taken some profits and moved it down. This is probably what I should have done there. Huh? I really thought that like the thing was is I was sitting there. Okay, there's gonna be another spike up, and then I can take it off, and if they come back again. But what happened was they came up and they said, "Oh no, they're gonna run this time," and they didn't. And then when it came back, I didn't do anything about it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the low of the session for your stop, is all I'm saying. I guess what I'm getting at is my position is based off of where I see the line between the buyers and sellers. So, and not based off of something on the chart. I don't know. Maybe I'm just full of shit. I don't know. That I can't give you a really good explanation maybe means I'm full of shit. Hmm. So what I'm seeing at the moment is sellers desperate to keep them below 32.11 or so that this 5 minute bar doesn't go green. Okay. Now it's correct. Aha. Okay. Two sweeps down there. Absorbed 15,000 on the offer at 32.10. So that's interesting. The seller was trying to scare people there, and look, it's floating higher. They just completely ignored it. Well, that could be a bullish sign, but I think that we have to assume that it means nothing. I mean, it means something, but whether it means it will go up or down, I don't think we can say. I guess no matter how I. Oh, now it does it. Now it does it. Okay. 32, 13, 41. But the spread has increased. So I think we've been reading the more spread, the more risk that people have put on, right? Well, now the seller's getting a little bit of movement his way. Hmm. I guess one of the things that's going on right now is AstraZeneca report on their vaccine. Ah, okay. Now they're going to try pressuring the sellers. Mm, you got to stay above that 12 or so. It was short lived. Okay. Hmm. So that was a pretty good bull run there for a moment up to 32.13, and they gave it all back very quickly. Overall, it looks like the cumulative delta is still positive, but
PRTRADERSOS says spring is loaded.
if this spring is well, yeah, if they decide to go my way, it's gonna really hop out there. But got to remember that there's not a whole lot of drivers out here right now, so you know we should expect volatility to contract this week. So neither side is really making a lot of headway here. Oxford University's team absolutely on track, and coronavirus vaccine likely to be available by September, says India TV. If a vaccine was available in September, that would be super good news. Bob Costas joins CNN as a contributor. Okay. So many here are in favor of the way the administration has handled the virus. I am wide open to hearing good things. Let's hear them. What are the top 10 reasons you
Gary
think the
Rich
White House
says
is handling
WTF, do you
COVID-19?
mean volatility should contract this week? Where the F are you getting this stuff from?
Why would it expand this week, Gary? Did you not hear my reasoning? Hmm. I stick by it. The base case is that volatility will contract this week. There's no news. It's the one of the lightest economic calendars you're ever going to see. I guess the one thing we do got going is that both the European Union and the U.S. Congress
Gary
are
Rich says no, I
likely
had an aneurysm and went WTF def.
and are likely to pass stimulus bills this week, but it appears that the market already just expects those as givens. So, I mean, it's always difficult to know how much of something like that is priced in, but the market is assuming that it's going to happen. So I think that you would have to guess that it's priced in. A little bit more. Thank you. So above 15, I'm a little more uncertain. I can see us going to at least to 17.5.
Gary
Beyond
Rich
that,
says
then it starts to
VIX
become
is
really
historically
questionable.
high now. Check the curve. Under 20 is low.
Okay. And what is it right now? Right now it's at 26.
Gary Rich says look at 2 versus 8 or 4 versus 7 or 5 versus 8 i.e. VIX.
And what I'm saying is that it's 24 right now, and I'm saying that by the end of the week, it's probably going to be less than 24. Wouldn't be confident enough on that to make a trade on it, but that's what I'm suggesting. Well, I'm thinking about it. I think we should do an experiment over here in the Treasury.
Gary Rich says okay, so you are assuming yet you want put money at risk to trade that assumption.
Okay. I mean, I'm using it with the rest of my analysis, but I don't know enough about um
Gary
what
Rich says
my
it's real funny to assume and play with sim. Real powerful.
what's your problem with Gary? I know. He's been so ornery the past few days. What do you want, Gary? What do you want? It's really easy to come in and like say stupid shit. And if you're not actually going to contribute anything useful, like here would be a good response. This is okay. This is let's go back. First, I'm going to go. This is what happened. Well, it looks like there's not a lot of news, so I think that you're going to see the VIX contract a little bit, and we're likely to continue coming down, and that we're likely to be less than 24. What? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. That is fucking useless. If you're going to do that, stop coming around. You've been really useful, but if that's all you're going to contribute, go away. Don't want that. Have no use for that in this channel. It doesn't help the channel. It doesn't help anybody. Okay? Here would be a good response. Well, I think that because of factors X, Y, and Z, there's actually a good chance that the VIX could go up. And I would be totally willing, and I would in fact buy it, thinking that if this price and put my stop here, and this is how I think that trade could work out, that would be useful. Right? No, I'm not going to ban you. I'm gonna sit here and hope that you do better. we care about you too much for that, man. But I can still get mad about it. I'm not gonna let people sit in my channel and insult me and just be like, I mean, what do you expect me to do? Good freaking grief.
Gary Rich says, hey dickface, let's bet real money. I want to humiliate you by taking your money.
You know what? You're full of shit, Gary, because I bet you last week that we would end that week higher, and we did, and you were fucking wrong. So go to hell.
Uzi Knesset says awkward eyes.
Awkward.
Gary Rich says, hey, I would have paid you the 2p.
I honestly I don't know enough about the risk profile in the VIX to make a bet on it. But I did on the E-mini, and I was really confident in that trade, and I was right. And because we didn't like make a formal agreement about it, I'm not going to hold you to it. But I would.
Gary Rich says I would have paid you the 10k bet, but you didn't take my wager.
Oh, I'm not going to take a 10k bet, dude. But I did it, and all I would like in return is to say kudos to you, Seth. You were right, and I was wrong. That's enough for me. We did benefit off of it. I did benefit off of it, but not nearly as much as I could have. So they actually did try and sweep 16.5, but it didn't break. Okay. AstraZeneca's vaccine data looks mediocre, says Feuerstein. Okay. Now that one looks like possible news sweep.
Sunday Driver says anything happened while I was away.
No, not really. You didn't miss anything Sunday.
Gary Rich says redo that expected video and give the people the choice to apply 16% or 19% and explain to them about the 68% and we good.
You're talking about the VIX one? Pretty sure that I made the. Well, let's go back and check. Oh no, I'll change it. We'll make a modification to it.
Gary Rich says yes.
Applying 16 or 19%. You know, yeah. I've only found the 50% useful. In fact, I tested the 68% and I didn't really find anything about it. But there was other guys in chat this morning in the equity indexes one that were saying that they were.
Sunday Driver says any latest news on the judge and her family and Epstein and Maxwell?
Nope, no news. They were saying that they were more interested in 19 instead of 16 as the oh yeah, there's the differences. Well, there you go. Well, I should make them. You know, the Ninja Trader version has that option, but the TradingView one doesn't. So when this one is done, we should go and fix that. Mm-mm-mm. TT gears up for transformation milestone. I wonder what that's about. Okay, so interesting where we're at here. Now it's the reversal time period. Well, I'm not so sure about this one now. It would be a little unusual for them to be going for the highs at this time of day.
RZH says 黑挥手.
Hey, where have you been? You know what? I was thinking about you yesterday because I was doing my Mandarin learning thing. And I was like, oh man, what happened to
133 USD says which index is leading right now? I'm down on mini Dow and I'm sweating bullets. Gary Rich says when I first gave you the 16% I apologized for the mistake and said 19% was the updated version and explained. I do apologize when I make mistakes and I'm wrong. 133 USD says I am long asterisk.
I don't know if it really is a significant difference though, Gary. Like, remember that scatter plot that we drew? When you look at the scatter plot,
RZH says long time no see.
yeah, it's been a long time wrong. I was concerned. Anyways, I don't know. The thing is that the correlation between implied volatility and realized volatility is pretty loose.
Kevin
It's
Wimmer
kind of
says
interesting
NQ
how it
greater than a
works.
mini greater than Dow. Last one still minus and first one up 1%.
But the relationship between them is pretty random. It doesn't look like they're really that correlated. But you can still, but using the indicator still gives you a really high probability target, which is cool. I think it's because people actually use it, but we just I thought that I had it set up so you could change it.
RZH says I'm doing so good lately.
Oh yeah, you've been doing. You mean good in your trading? I hear that the market is pretty hot over there in China.
Gary Rich says this was expected move, not implied volatility. Implied is a different formula, totally different topic on how implied volatility is calculated.
Okay,
RZH says yes I know but I'm just trading S.
the expected move and the actual move are not very well correlated. There's a little bit of it. There's like a minimum amount that you actually are almost guaranteed to get, but beyond that, they're not very correlated. But it still gives you like a 60% of getting that target.
Lucas says good morning Seth and gang.
It's kind of weird. I think I need to do some more statistics because there's got to be something in there that's making it that way that I'm not seeing.
Gary Rich says yes because 68% of the time it doesn't get there.
Yeah, if the 100% target, you're right. I was using the 50% target. So the 50% target is 3240 right now, and we're so range bound that I don't think you're going to get it, right? The thing that I find interesting about it is I don't think there doesn't appear to be a statistical correlation with them in terms of what your expected move is and what the actual move ends up being in the end.
Lucas says you talking about implied volatility?
Yeah, we're talking with Gary. But what was I saying? Um I don't know what I was thinking. Must not have been that important. Having some ADHD issues still.
RJ Wheel says Ninja reports YM and MYM are corrupted on their end for anyone trading those. It is being worked on.
Oh, okay.
Lucas says you can blame me lol. Samson Samuel says do you guys use pivot points?
Yeah, so you know what, Samson, I have a chart with pivot points on them, and I actually trade against them. So I don't know. They're actually I actually have noticed there is a quite a strong tendency for them to like probe beyond a pivot point and then turn around. But what I do is I specifically look for situations where I'm certain because of the news that the pivot point is going to fail and trade against it, and those are some of the best trades. So pivot points, it sounds to me like there's a technical indicator that works somewhat because a lot of people are watching it, but that it still has no actual real predictive power. It's self-fulfilling. And eventually the people using that will stop. Well, it'll go back and forth in terms of how useful it is, right? Let's see here. Police have never pepper sprayed the Ku Klux Klan and never shot rubber bullets at them. So I'm going to explain now. Wait, well, yeah, easy, because they didn't assault police officers. They didn't assault police officers or vandalize public property. Supreme Court refuses to fast track Trump House subpoena cases. Oh, of course not. Oh, you know what? I should have.
Sunday Driver says
Wait.
usually, right-wing activists clean up after themselves.
Well, they certainly lately because
Sunday driver says big difference between left and right on that one.
they make such a big deal about the left being so messy that they think about it. I don't think that before all of that was really the case. I've been to a lot of Republican conventions that were filthy. Before the Tea Party. Okay. So a couple of ticks higher, but I didn't really see stops on those. Surprised because I'm sure there's a lot of people still short. Well, if it gets to there, I'll definitely take it off. I don't know. You think they'll make it to 32.40?
Samson Samuel says both CB and S are moving up together. Strange.
Yeah, but
RZH says iBot 3192, 3203, 3206, sold 3220.
You sold 32.20. 92, that's good. How do you get 92? You were up while you were up all night. I get you. That's a really good job.
Sunday driver says I downloaded Ninja Trader, but I downloaded the Forex. I want to trade currencies.
If I wanted to trade currencies, I would just use the futures, but I don't know. I suppose it's just as effective for currency trading. Problem with currencies is the broker situation in the U.S. in particular is like super awful right now. Ever since FXCM got booted out of the U.S.
Lucas says, is there anything in NT8 that allows me to see the average volume traded in X amount of time and also the average price movement on same amount of time?
Well, to find the average volume traded, I would just take a moving average of your volume, right? I would just add a moving average on and apply it to volume. And average price movement, that would mean you're talking more like range, right? So then then your average true range. I did a lot of studies about those, and I didn't, because I was taking an indicator that was like, average movement per volume or whatever. But I don't remember why, but at the time I didn't find it useful. I don't know.
133 USD says volume bars on the price chart, shows a thicker candle equals more volume. Lucas says yes, I think so.
That would be how I would go about it. You wouldn't need to write an indicator for that. You just change. Remember that any indicator, you can change what the price series is on it. So you could make, instead of using price, you could use volume or whatever it is that you want to choose. You just go and, when you're coming in here into indicators, and you come in and you pick which input series you want it to be. You can pick any of these, or you could add an indicator and you could say volume.
133 USD says equilibrium candles. I have it on Thinkorswim.
Oh yeah, they have those in Ninja Trader.
Lucas says I was thinking something like the pot tool on Jigsaw but more useful. I can't understand that tool.
The pot tool? Are you talking about the gauges? Okay, well that actually wasn't bad.
Lucas says pace of tape. Uzi Knesset says pace of tape.
You must be talking about this.
Lucas says at UZI Knesset hello Uzi.
You must be talking about this, right? Okay.
Uzi Knesset says yo-yo hand waving.
So let's fix this thing so that to add the change that Gary was requesting earlier, shall we? Fine editor. Open.
133 USD says speaking of pot, anyone else holding cannabis stocks? I got Canopy Growth Company. Gary Rich says I will make this suggestion. If one wants to know AVG volume, with price one needs to do TWAP time weighted AVG price analysis. This requires massive data dump, regression analysis with time series.
What should we call this input?
RZH says Suzy, Lucas, Kevin 挥手。
Lucas says hi.
Hello. I think we got everybody here today, almost. Well, we don't have our Bitcoin guys, but I bet you they're just lurking and they're going to come out of the woodwork.
Uzi Knesset says hi hi hi. RJ Wheel says no Winston to say like. Hit like please in memory of her.
Oh, you're right. No, you're a good point. How could I forget? Oh, but she's been so. I mean, she's been coming around every week, but she needs a new web book because the keyboard on her web book is down, and that's why she hasn't been talking as much. Okay, so I got out at 25. It is now at 26. How far do you think this is going to go, guys?
RJ
And-
Wheel says lol. And I spelled it wrong.
And do you think that they will turn back down after the counter trend period or not? Or because look at the chart. Look at the chart. Unnatural move. Like seriously, how does an index
Samson
do that?
Samuel says 3,241.
How does an index do that? I don't understand. Uh-oh. Somebody's just walking into my house.
RJ
Oh,
Wheel
it's my
says cleared
children.
overnight high. Open waters.
I thought it was going to be my parents going to be like, stop just walking in. The staff cans. Okay. Let's see here. Where were we? Divided by factor. Times target 1. Okay. Save. Okay, so it's gonna obviously give me some errors.
133 USD says I am long still on YM. Still a little underwater, so I'll hang on till around 26,600.
Okay, so I don't know PineScript very well, so I have to come up and look at what these what these enums are supposed to be. Oh, it's not a double, it's a float. Of course. Float. Float. Okay. Save. No errors that time. Oh, my treasury trade still hasn't gone through. Add to chart. Okay. So let's close this one. Look at this one. Okay. So now we can change it from 16 to 19. And it decreases a little bit. Oh, yeah, of course. Durr. And I could even do, if I wanted target 2 to be like 2. Da, 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 da. Totally works. Publish script. Update existing script. Mm-mm. Publish new version. There you go. And there's the new version for you, Gary. That was simple enough. Oops. Let me fix that. There we go. So, question.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
Set that to 1. So with it at 19, the upper target is 32.35.
Lucas says, damn, I need to learn some coding.
I don't know. I think that when you can, just looking at this one, need to come back here when it was like being really super effective. Need to like really...
Lucas says, what are you using here?
Okay. So here is probably a good idea. So that's 16, and now let's change it to 19. 19 may actually be a better fit in some of the range bound days where it's close. It wasn't on this day, for instance. That was a little bit better. That's where I was saying, like, the correlation between what you expect and what you actually get is actually pretty random. I think the reason why it becomes so useful is because you can set an expectation for yourself. So you can say, my expectation is on a regular day, it's going to go to that 50% line. And then if it's a more of a range bound day than I expect, then I can say, okay, it's actually not going to get there. And if it's stronger day than I expect, then maybe it's going to go to the 100% target.
Lucas says so you are basically using a bias.
Well, yeah, it'll like use it like news, right? Like with news, you always have an estimate. And you say, what's the estimated versus the actual? So I'm saying, what is the expected range for the day, and what is the actual range for the day? And based on the action, I can start to make predictions to say, okay, the range is going to be a little bit less than the expected range. Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, the VIX did increase a little bit at the beginning, but I bet you it's come down since then. Okay, now the Treasury's not come back yet all the way, but the trade seems to be going okay for now. And remember, we got out at like 25, so there was a little bit more in it. You know, we should come back over here and look at our volume and say, oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Very much absorption down there. There's a big fight down there, and the seller lost. So, question. How did I know? Sorry, News Squawk is saying something in my ear. How did I know? Well, look at this chart. No, it's super messy. You might not be able to see those lines very well, but I could see that there was a spot down here and there was a spot up here. Were they going to go all the way down to 31.97? No, probably not, because there was absorption here. So instead, I should expect them to come over to take out these guys' positions instead. And they did. And they stopped them out. Whew. I mean, look at how far they went in the end. Sure didn't look that great when we were like right here, right? That's how I knew. In other words, I didn't really know which way it was going to go. I just knew who had a weaker position. Hmm. Now, Financial Juices reporting that news about that there could be a vaccine in September.
$133 USD says vaccine. BUUY bye bye. 133 USD says a mere mention of a good vaccine and it shoots up.
It could be. The thing is that I saw news about this vaccine a long time ago, right? We saw this like at 7 o'clock or something, like long before the ES came in.
Sunday Driver says a lot of good news about vaccines this morning. I think they are trying to create news stories that will take the public's eye off the judge's family being killed by the fake FedEx driver.
By the fake FedEx.
133 USD says Moderna is working on it, I believe. So it's priced in until we see the last trial positive?
No. This one was for AstraZeneca.
133 USD says what judge got killed?
So there was a judge in New Jersey, I think it was, that she didn't get killed, but a man pretending to be a FedEx driver came to the house, shot the son, shot at the father, and then ran off. And there is a massive police effort underway to find the assailant. But we really don't have any clue why he's doing it or what the deal is, only that somebody attacked a judge, and that's a really big deal. But this this judge was assigned to a case relating to Jeffrey Epstein. So people are, what is the word? Speculating. Of course, how do I forget the word speculate? People are speculating that it is related to the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and that Jeffrey Epstein set up a hit on this judge. It was probably Mossad. No way. There's no way Mossad would do that. No way. The man will never be caught. I don't know, but there's like everybody's looking for him, man.
PRTRADERSOS says and completely botch. 133 USD says LMAO, Mossad. I heard Epstein worked for Mossad to blackmail politicians.
Sunday Driver says a lot of people say that Maxwell and Epstein were agents of Israel.
Lots of people say things about everything about Israel, man.
RJ Wheel says Epstein is clearly connected to some intelligence service.
Have you ever so Netflix has a documentary called Mossad that you should watch. It's very interesting. One of the stories that they told.
RJ Wheel says I lean CIA.
There's a lot of Euro area stuff coming out at the moment. Anyways, there was one of the things that happened is that Israel set up this camp to basically smuggle refugees out of an area. And the cover that they used for this camp was that it was a scuba diving center. And so people would come from all over the world to scuba dive at this place. And there was a person that he knew a lot about this guy knew a lot. And so when he was scuba diving, he saw that one of the divers had used the signal that would have been that the military would have used and not what they teach divers, civilian divers, right? Like you use hand signals to communicate underwater, and he used the wrong hand signal. And so the tourist confronted the agent about it, and he said, "You guys are Mossad, aren't you?" And of course, they denied it and everything, but the guy basically had it figured out, and so they killed him. They killed him because he figured it out, and they didn't want to blow the cover. And this was also that they could smuggle refugees into Israel. Can you believe that? And that's Mossad. It's crazy. They really are. Like, the thing you got to remember, war is not done above ground anymore. If there's anything that I think can help you understand geopolitics, it's that we don't really fight war above ground anymore. The United States has been involved in tons and tons of wars since World War II. We just don't declare it. You don't have a full-on war because it's too devastating. So instead, what do you do? Espionage and proxy wars and things like that. And the Israelis are the best. They are the best at the espionage. For sure. Now, would they try and protect Epstein or Maxwell by ordering a hit on a U.S. judge? No way. They're not that. That would be a stupid, stupid idea. Because that would, number one, that would blow the cover, and number two, that would cause tensions with the United States, which is the last thing that they want. So there's no way that the brass at Mossad would do that sort of a thing. They would maybe try and keep it quiet, but I don't think that they would start ordering hits to protect it. No way.
Sunday Driver says Mossad is nuts. They kill everyone that gets in their way, even the family of judges. Or, judges themselves. She was lucky to be hiding in the basement.
Well, that's true. But we don't know that that's really what it was about.
133 USD says a lot of potential suspects would want to harm a U.S. federal judge. Lots of drug cartels do hits on judges. Mad people, etc.
Sunday Driver says Israel has the US government 100% bought.
I mean, for all we know, this guy is mad about a previous decision that they made. Right? Could have been that he was on the wrong side of an earlier case.
PRTRADERSOS says it was the Clintons lol.
It was Hillary that ordered it. I don't know, dude. The whole thing is weird. Okay, EU leaders meeting delayed again until 5 p.m. London time.
PRTRADERSOS says I'm kidding.
Bank of England's Haldane is talking right now. So that trade in the 10-year worked out amazing. Literally. Oh, wait, it did go 2 ticks against me. That sucks. But I got 3 out of it. Could potentially gotten 4, but I don't want to risk 14.
RJ Wheels says I'm not.
We wanted. But the trade was, if I can show you, was that the buyers had their position from 16 and that they would cross the spread and start testing, give the sellers a chance. And so that's why I wanted to just take that right there. And it totally worked. Now, I think, when did I get in this? I got in this at 8:10. 8:10. So I got in it right here. It went a little bit my way. It came back. It probed me a bit.
133
but it was
USD
really
says
1.
Hillary has a high body count.
That was a solid call. Now, the other one was we might have been able to settle it up here, but I still haven't gone through and figured out how much profit they have baked in and how much risk to kind of give us an idea of where it's possibly going to turn. So. Oh, here I missed the Florida coronavirus cases
133
rise
USD
3%
says how many
versus
contracts do you all
3.8%.
trade with real money?
One. You know what? Right now, actually, in the summer, I'm not trading live. I tend to not do very well in the summer. I'm testing a new strategy right now that is intended to do better in these situations, and it's
133
working really well
USD says
today.
I was doing 10 mini till heart palpitations.
Oh man. Well, yeah, that would be a lot of stress at some points, huh? Well, that's the thing. When it gets crazy, you just bring it down. I think that we don't like to size down, but you know what, man? It's can be great. Nothing feels better than when you size down and it still goes a long ways and you still make a ton of money. And you don't have to stress about it as much.
$133 says size down is good, no kidding. I can let it run now.
Oh yeah. Now I'm wondering how if it's gonna turn back around here or not. So I am noticing that since the counter trend time period ended, we have been down, almost like clockwork. I don't know if they can really hold these levels because it's just the high end of the range. But then I tell you what, there was some guys who were trying really hard to sell it down at 32.10. Like, you gotta wonder, you don't just sell it that hard without a reason, you know? You just don't do that.
See in a few minutes. I think the killer will next try a different delivery company. If an unexpected Postmates delivery arrives, don't answer the door and hide in the basement.
Oh, but I always expect mail. If you have a woman in your house, you can basically
133
expect
USD
packages
says
every
wrong.
day. Dead serious, man. She doesn't spend a whole lot. She's actually quite frugal about it, but she's
133
always.
USD says shoot, I got a 12 gauge here with slugs.
Oh. Don't let YouTube catch you saying that. So we're definitely pulling back. How far do you think it's gonna pull back?
133 USD says you married Seth. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm married. I'm married and I have 3 stepkids and we just had a baby in February. I tell you what, having an infant child during a pandemic has been the most interesting thing. I get to have a lot of time with the baby. I think I spend on average more time with my baby than most fathers do.
PRTRADERSOS says order in at 3,214.
You got one at 14? Okay, so I'm gonna give you. Here's my estimate. Uh, right now it's gonna be 32.18. 3218, probably by the time we get down there, depending on how long it takes, it's going to be a little bit higher than that. So
133
let's.
USD says I have one toddler, from my ex-GF, we are not together but she still lets me have fun time with her grin.
Oh, that's good. 3220. So let's just kind of estimate 3220 might be the aggregate position at that point, and that's a spot where you might or sellers start to push harder and try and push it across. Yeah, so their interesting thing 133 is they did this study where they said, okay, there's these fathers and they say that they want to be in the home, but they're not. Like they're not, their fathers aren't very active in their kids' lives, even though they claim that they want to be. And why is that? And so they kind of looked at some of the reasons why the fathers didn't come in. And one of the things was that the fathers felt like they were unwelcome. And why did they feel unwelcome? Well, it was the things that the wives would complain about things that fathers tend to do. For instance, they didn't like that the father would come over and roughhouse with the kids. So it turned out that there are things that fathers will do with children that mothers don't do and don't like doing, and don't like when the fathers do at all, frankly. And it actually turns out that the fathers, if they're married and it's a patriarchal family, which is that the father is I don't want to say that it's like the father makes all of the decisions, because I personally think that in my religion and in my house, we're very patriarchal, but it's very much like you don't do something unless the both of you agree, right? But the father is still expected to be the leader person, I guess. And if I come in and I say, yeah, we don't eat food outside of the kitchen, was the one that I have to keep putting my foot down on. They're like, but mom would probably let us. Nope. And then I have to talk to her about it and say, no, we don't allow food outside the kitchen. That's it. But it's not like she is obligated. Like if she thought had a really, really good reason, then of course we would argue about it and we would come to a consensus, right? But I'm still like intended to take the lead. And it's interesting, isn't it, that those things that the fathers do that apparently are really beneficial for the child's development are things that women don't like. And I bet you there are a lot of things that women do that the men don't like. Okay, so what did you miss? The EU, they are still talking about their stimulus, and they have gone on a recess for a while. In the meantime, we had this insane move up during the counter trend time period, and since the counter trend time period has ended, we are slightly down a good 5 points. I see a potential line where buyers will be break even again at 32.20 that they may try to retrace back towards. And I took it long. I took it long somewhere around 32.10 to 32.25. So I got 15 points off of that. I'm quite happy about that trade. Oh, and I took one in the 10-year, and I got what I wanted on the 10-year as well. Almost exactly. Notice that the 10-year is ticked back up. So I might have gotten filled at 14.5, but overall looks like it did the right thing there. Yeah, 15 points. Great job. Thank you. I tell you what, I think I don't think that anything is like a for sure thing, but this new indicator that we've been testing, that I'm calling inventory cost basis, appears to be extremely effective when we are range bound. So that's why I'm saying in the E-mini, maybe we come to 32.20, and I'm just kind of guessing where it's going to be by that point. It looks like on their current trajectory that it's going to take a while. So Bum, bum, bum. Mm-mm.
133 USD says yeah, my ex doesn't want me to be gentle with my son. She's not too bad of an ex. 50-50 custody.
Okay. Ooh, we got like 50-50 custody. Where it's more like 55, but I don't know. It's weird. Now that I have my own baby though, like there's no question that it's different having a kid. I think part of it is just that you understand them a little bit better because their brain is more like yours. But there's also something to be said to have been there and watched the very, very early stages of development, because the way that the other kids behave is often strange to me. But I also think that a lot of it is that, so like when I was a kid, I remember I would watch certain TV shows, and to me it was like, oh, for sure my parents would know what it was that I was watching. Um, or no, I kind of felt more like, I don't think that my parents really care too much about like the games that I'm playing, and they don't know anything about it. I shouldn't be like that when I'm older. So then I get older, and these kids, they watch YouTube, and the YouTube channels that they watch, man, there's no effing way I'm watching that crap. Sometimes though, I'm like, okay, I kind of feel like I need to put my foot down on some content because they're watching things that are not intended for their age group. Let's say, like the 8-year-old is watching a lot of creepy videos.
133 USD says minions bro. Minions.
Anyways, but I can't I don't have the time to sit and watch all these kids shows. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you do about that, and how you direct them to better content. It's tough. But and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I'm in the exact same
Thrift 12
situation that
says
my
why do you
parents were
trade
with a
nude to your
different
channel?
medium. Hey, Thrift, so I'm trading mostly S&P 500
133
futures
USD
and
says I try to
10-year
play with my
treasuries.
toddler as much as I can and avoid the screen time.
Yeah, my opinion is that under 3, no phones. Probably even under 5. Yeah, I took a trade in the S&P 500 futures, and I took a trade in the 10-year today. Are you a day trader? Uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm day trading, if that's the question. Like, my strategy is day trading. I'm largely using order flow and news to either trade based off of imbalances and information and understanding of the market, or positioning, where people have taken where people entered their trades from. Um, but yeah, I this is not like my only job. I have a day job. I don't recommend people, quit their day job and try to become day traders, because your probability of success is very, very low. In the summer, I'm very risk adverse, so in the summer I tend not to do very well in the summer. So I'm usually trading sim in the summer. Like today, those 2 trades were sim orders. I don't know. I'm working right now. I'm still unsure about what I want to do, because I wanted to start a new account. And I don't think that because I've started paying for the news that I got, I became a founder at Financial Juice. And because of that, I'm probably not going to have enough to move brokers. So I'll be able to put some in, but I don't think I have enough to move brokers, and I'm very conflicted about that because I was really planning on making some big plays during the election. But maybe I need to skip all that. I mean, the election's going to be super crazy too. It might be better for me to just wait until January to start doing stuff. And so maybe that's what I'll do is I won't put on a whole lot of risk until January. And we'll do something. I'm thinking that maybe what we could do is have a strong push to create an edge clear pool. So edge clear, you can create a pool if you have enough people. You all get grouped together, and if you generate enough volume, then you get a discount. So I'm thinking that if all of us moved over to edge clear, that we would easily generate enough volume to get the discount. And the only thing that I would ask for a situation like that is that you guys use Discord, because I want it to be like try and turn it into a real platform where like we would talk, like we'd have briefings and things like that. We could make private channels in the Discord if you're in the group or something like that. What's the benefit? The benefit is that your commissions from the broker like get cut in half. So it's like normally on a micro contract you're trading like $1.25 per trade round turn, and with this it's like 60 cents. So it's like half. So that, and over many trades, that makes a big difference. For somebody that trades hundreds of turns a month, Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, it's a lot. And we actually did do a thing in Discord. We had a couple of people and they signed on. I don't know how many actually ended up getting together in that pool. Now they're doing something a little different with Futures.io where they start a new pool every month. And if you get enough people to get on that month, then you guys get put together in a pool. But I think that if we do that, what we will do is we will say January, we will start a pool. So we'll have open enrollment until the end of the year. And then January, you have to have your account funded and we'll start. So, yeah, in fact, I'm going to say that's the goal right now. So save up $1,500 to start an account at EdgeClear. Or, you can, if you have enough to pull out of your current account. But anyways. I got all into that. You guys didn't even ask me a question. I just kind of went into that on my own. Oh, Donald Trump is talking. Okay, so he's probably going to try and talk the markets up, but I would be a little bit cautious. I don't know if they're having like a live press conference or something. We'll stick around for another 15 minutes.
Thrift 12 says, how's the platform?
So are you asking like what do they use at EdgeClear, or how do you like what you're using? I really like NinjaTrader 8 and Jigsaw. Yeah, with the EdgeClear. Yeah, so with EdgeClear, if I show you over here. Okay. So with the platforms that they have, is there a better way? Is there a better trading platforms? Yeah, there's a better list. Okay. What they have, your cheapest is going to be TradingView, which is not a bad platform in all honesty. Bookmap is pretty good. Of course, I really like day trader because I'm more about the DOM. Oh, Minution is talking to? Minution says we need a technical fix on unemployment. Bet Milder calls Trump murderer so short order in. Anyways, you can trade with Ninja Trader if you're grandfathered in. So I'm grandfathered in. I would be able to trade Ninja Trader, but it's like, yeah. So of these platforms that are available, probably Sierra Charts. Probably Sierra Charts is where I'd be going. Or TT if you can afford it. Some of these I don't know. Like I don't really know a lot about CTS. Some of these, like the CQG and the rhythmic ones, are awful. I opening up the CQG is not as bad as rhythmic. The rhythmic R trader is so bad. The interface is so terrible. I don't get it. Oh, you know what? You're probably leaving more comments and it's not reading them out now because we just ran out of requests. Versus Trade of 8 with commission-free price plan with Jigsaw. So, for those ones, so one thing is I'm starting to hear from people that they're not a huge fan of the platform that Trade of 8 runs on. It doesn't look awful to me, but yeah, in terms of like which one's better for you for commissions and everything, you really have to do math. So there's almost never like a straight answer when it comes to brokers. They all have advantages and disadvantages. So the 10-year did trade into 14, by the way. I didn't see. No, they did. They had Jigsaw on there. It's called Day Trader with an R. I don't know why he did that. They had a good name. They called it Rapid Trader Pro, and I think that somebody already had that name, and so they changed it to Day Trader with an R. And I'm like, I mean, you're not going to get hits with that. Oh, okay. I would have called it something like Dominator or something like that. That's what, because I would have. The big selling point is the Dom or order flow. Those are the two words that are going to lead you over to the platform, right? Getting lots of clicky. Minution's talking them up. What will the markets do if you don't have the members of the administration trying to talk up the markets every day? Kind of don't want to hear the squawk anymore. The Dominator. Dominator trading platform. Or you use the word flow in it. See, like with the guys over at Optimus, I'm writing a review. I'm not quite done with it yet. For Optimus Flow, right? The word flow it's great. But the funny thing is that I don't think it's appropriate. That one's probably not appropriately named either. So like they're using the flow, like order flow is kind of the way that they're going, but it's not DOM trading order flow, and they don't really have the tools to really trade order flow the way that most order flow traders would think about it. They're really more like time profile and swing trading volume profile kind of look of things. And so I don't know if what would be the right name in that case, but I don't know if order flow is the keyword that you want. Like I would probably target more like swing. The word swing is what I would target. Anyways, because really with the way that they're set up at Optimus Flow, it's way better if you're a big guy looking to hold long positions that like overnight. That's the advantage, Optimus. You're paying a little bit more in commissions, but you're going to more than make up for it that one time that you actually have to talk to the broker and deal with them. Chicago is reinstating some restrictions amid uptick in cases. It just makes me think about these things with the death rate and the numbers. It's like, I get so frustrated because everybody's wrong about everything all the time, guys. It's just swinging dominatrix. You know what? Well, I think we can come up with a better idea than that, and when we have a better idea, we can propose it to Matt. I don't think that we've quite crossed the correct name for Optimus. By the way, lots of people watching today. Thank you guys very much. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. That really, if you want to show your appreciation, that's the like button helps the channel out more than anything. So we did good today. I don't know if we're gonna do as good every day because this kind of action tends to be really difficult for me. So we'll see. Maybe we just got lucky today. You just smash that like button. Yeah, like you hit into it. That's why you when you click in over here. So this is one of the things that I always pay attention. If you don't know what catching the edge is, then pay close attention, right? Catching the edge is you wait for there to not be a whole lot of contracts there. So like right now there's an imbalance. Let's just assume that I wanted to go long. Okay? Assume that I wanted to go long. I want to hit into it when there's like 200 contracts left there at 24 and 3/4 on the 5-year, right? Oh, it's evening up. They're actually quite thick. That's probably not a very good example. Okay, so maybe here in the 30-year, I want to hit into it when there's only 40 contracts, and hopefully, as I hit into it, a bunch of other people hit into it, and it ticks up. Okay, so if I hit into it, then I would be long, and there's 121 contracts bid behind me. So if something happens and all of a sudden I don't like it, I can scratch it at break even, potentially. And that is called catching the edge. So you hit into it. So that's why I always say hit into that like button. We hit 13 likes. I'll give everyone a live trade to take. Ooh, are we that close? Oh, we kind of are. I removed the thing that makes the ding. Now wait a second. If I zoom in here. Can you say that again? Which part? What is catching the edge? Sorry. When you ask questions, you should try and be as specific as you can, because sometimes I'm not 100% sure what you were talking about. The catching the edge. Yeah. So I'll just say it again. Catching the edge is hitting into a price with the market order when there aren't a whole lot of limit orders on it, with the idea that you're going to clear the number of orders on there, and that price is gonna tick, and then you will already have, you could immediately hit back into it and get break even if you wanted to. Right? It's a short, huh? Well, I still think that the the E-mini could come to 32.20 at least, somewhere around there. You got it at 23. Okay. That one's a little different though, isn't it? But at 24, if they push below 24, then they can certainly be good because that's where their position is from the last 30 minutes. So yeah. Anyways, catching the edge. It's you will see robots that do it. You see right there, 158 bought out into that when there was only 3 on the offer. And look, RJ Will says 32 11 25. Oh, okay. I can there is a pivot at 32 11 25. That must be why you're mentioning that one. I'm really not a fan of the pivots. Here's why I'm not a fan of the pivots. The closing prices are there's so much noise around those. Like once I realize that, okay, 10 minutes before the close, they release a report that tells you how many orders are outstanding that are going to be hit at the market on close so that you can determine whether it's a buy or a sell. And then they move, and that's why there's often some of those weird moves in the last 10 minutes. And certainly in the last 30 minutes is it's all about that closing auction. So is the price that they actually close at for the day in the E-mini, is it really that important? Well, people are doing things and manipulating it so that they can market their orders so that they don't have to use as much margin the next day for their next stuff, right? So they manipulate it. So anything, literally any especially daily levels that is based on closing prices, I would be very skeptical of. Now, pivots is kind of a particularly unique case because pivots are so popular. Day traders used to use it back when it was the pits, and now people use it on the electronics trading. And yeah, price does tend to react to them. Well, they usually go through them, but you can almost always look at it and say, oh yeah, but there's something to the pivot. But I'm telling you, find a situation where there's news. Like say we were right at R1, which is at 32.28. Okay. So great example. 32.28 is R1 or S1 or whatever you call it. I think it's R1 because it's resistance 1, right? It's right there. Okay. Say that we had a news story that came out that said that the vaccine is ready and it's already been mass produced and will be distributed next week. Okay, that would be really good news, right? Then I want to buy into that with the theory that they're going to blow right through that 32.28. I want a situation where the technical indicator is likely to fail and trade against it. Those are the best trades, man. Some of my best trades have been in situations like that. So, if you have to lock today. Arizona virus cases rise 1.1% versus a prior 7-day average of 2.3%. Market year put hate remains in fashion. Yeah, look at how low the put call ratio is. Not a lot of puts. There are 170 coronavirus 19 vaccines under development. What? 170? Oh man, that's the business. That's the business we should be in, man. Does the contracts you buy or sell for futures in micro NASDAQ have any effect to the market? Oh, yes and no. I mean, every action that you make in the market, every order affects the market. They do. Now, how much does it actually affect the market? It's probably very insignificant. But you will find that if you find some sort of a technical indicator and you backtest it and you're like, oh man, this thing really works. This thing really works and it has a really good historical. And then as soon as you start using it and you start making money with it, the market will sniff it out and take it out. Every time that I've done that, man, even if I don't say anything about it on stream, because one thing that I did was I thought, well, maybe somebody is trying to follow the trade and I've become too big or something like that. So I would start doing things where I was like, I would try to be really confusing so that anybody watching the stream wouldn't really know what the positions I was taking. And but I didn't change anything. It's just the way the market works. They find inefficiencies, technical inefficiencies, and they remove them. And if you have found a technical inefficiency, chances are there's a lot of people that are finding it, because why would you find that technical inefficiency unless it was playing a big role in the action of the recent market action, right? So, but every order matters. There still isn't a SARS vaccine, is there not? The market is rallying and you buy into it, your one contract will reverse the whole move, right? It always seems like that's the case. Goldman Sachs checks every micro placed. I think they do, yeah. Well, I'm just using this cost basis thing. When you think about it with the cost basis, okay, every order matters. But it's not just that, but where people end up getting into positions, they're all in the same spots. But interestingly enough, you wouldn't know it from the pro. So let's look. Okay. Oops. If we come over here and I look at my cost basis for this session, I see this 18 area and I see this 13 area. Really, yeah. I'm going to say it's 11 to 13, 11 to 14, 11 to 14. Okay, so now let's come back to the footprint. Well, 11 to 14, where was special about that? Nothing. Nothing on the volume profile. If I come in and I look at it on this look, 3210, there's nothing special about it. Well, it's actually a low volume node, right? But that is like the average position from the buyers. Huh. Interesting, right? Then the other side we said 820. Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of a node. But anyways, I've just found that what I'm looking at right now is that where everybody's average position ends up being is not really, you calculate it from the volume, but it doesn't actually correlate to the volume profile, which is not what I expected. I would have thought that people's average position would have ended up being wherever that point of control was. Right? I was wondering because right when I sold my position buy order on NASDAQ, it legit went straight up right after I sold my 10 contracts. It could. I mean, that's the thing that's crazy about it, is that there's these algorithms out there watching things, and your order might be like the one thing that triggers the threshold for them to do something. I've seen situations where I really feel like that happens. So I remember one time in the 10-year, there was an order, and no, it wasn't me. It was Lucas, I think it was, that was doing it. It was Lucas or Uzi. They said, oh, like it ticked down and like nobody was trading it. So I hit into it, and then after I hit into it, a big flood of orders came through and we ticked down. That totally can happen. It just takes like that one guy to be willing to step up and be like, no, actually, I think we sell it here, and then everybody else go, oh, okay. And if you can be that first guy, that everybody else, that's what you want, man. Painting the tape is fun. Long, fine, go long 3227. It's not really. It's being difficult around here, isn't it? The market maker will spend $1 million to take your 31. Yeah, but that's where I think that the average position stuff that we've been looking at, Uzi, I think is useful because now you really know where most people have their position from, on average. It's the average best case scenario, right? So certainly there could be an individual trader that has an even better position than that, but the best case scenario for the larger market makers on average is right there where that line is. That tells you something. I don't know if you ever give advice for entries, but if I entered on NASDAQ at 10,758, so I don't have a chart of the NASDAQ out, unfortunately. I think that if you were short the E-mini anywhere above, let's say anything above 27, then you got lucky. You got a really good short. But I don't know if this is really like overall short or not. We could go up and make a new high. I'm not really seeing anything that can really give me a really good call on which it'll go. The market will do whatever it is that causes the most damage to the most folks. Yes, exactly. I didn't go short. I went long. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think that for the longs in the E-mini that you probably wanted to have gotten in below 32.50. But you got to remember, Beanie, one of the things that I'm not a believer in technical analysis. Does that make sense? So like we use technicals and there are things that it's useful for, but the way that most people use technical analysis is like, if I take this, then there's a probability that it's going to go up based on the historical probability of this thing. And I say it's nonsense. That's nonsense. Probably what you're reading is not some tendency in the market. Probably what you're doing is you're just being fooled by randomness. So my take on it is that you need to have fundamentals behind you. Fundamentals and the technicals, the thing that really drives the technicals is not price, but rather where people have entered from and what their risk and reward is. So from that perspective, at the moment, when I took the trade before, I could see where there was a break-even point for certain traders. And so I took it long from there because I knew that they were going to defend it. And they did. And that was the whole basis for the trade. I like the whole thing about that the market will try and do the most damages for sure. I mean, this is the thing which I'm going to make a video about trading in fast, volatile markets. And one of the things, so the biggest piece of advice that I can give you for trading a volatile market is be in first, man. If the market's going to start going down and you're the first guy to sell it, you can just sit easy. If you get in and you're late, then you get in where everybody else got in. And that's where they do all of the shenanigans and they try and stop you out and stuff. Yeah. That's where you'll get all sorts of technical indicators telling you to go long and short and whatever, and it just ends up being a wash. No, be in early. Be in before everybody else realizes what's going on. Easier trade. And then you make your money and, an amount that's reasonable based on the volatility and everything, and you're done. I have to take multiple trades, even though there's opportunity out there because you were in early. I sold 9 of 10 and kept 2 contracts from 11 p.m. I've been in all along. But yeah, I really don't have a NASDAQ chart. I really should, shouldn't I? I have to think about where I can integrate it so that I can see the levels in the NASDAQ a little bit better. Because a lot of you guys, I don't know. In my opinion, most retail traders shouldn't be trading the NASDAQ, but shouldn't be scalping it at least. It's just way too wild. Okay, so they're going to go for those highs again, for sure. I don't know if they'll make it or not. It seems they're so close that probably they will. You guys, I'm seeing lots of targets. I would like a waffle, actually. Then how do you know to get in early before everyone else? Good question. Listen to the news. And if you have a news squawk and you understand what's going on better than everybody else, then you can make a better decision. Trades by Matt says otherwise. No, I don't want to get into a thing with Matt, but I really don't care what he's doing or what he says. I've looked at his channel and I've looked at the way that he's traded, and I'm not interested in it. Is it wrong to homeschool your kids just so they can sleep in? Well, that wouldn't make any sense. You want to open them up earlier. Yeah. I will. Here's the thing: is that if I want to call out a strategy, I don't really want to make it a personal thing with people, because the thing is I don't know. I don't know who that is, but I saw that they were getting some attention on some of the forums, so I looked at it. So here's what I'll say, and I'm making this. This has nothing to do with him, but this is just two pieces of advice that I'm going to give you in terms of evaluating people's strategies. Number one, be wary of strategies that risk more than they make, which is to say that their average loser is larger than their average winner. Such systems may actually have a positive expectancy, but they have a high risk of ruin, which means that if you ever get a string of losers, you could lose your account very quickly. And it's just like what we were saying about how the market always tries to do the most damage. That will happen a freaking ton. Okay. Number two, be very weary of people on YouTube that are showing you what appears to be profitable strategies that aren't really putting their own money at risk. So, like, if you see this somebody and they're pushing combines really, really hard, well, why would you, if you're so good at the combine and you have a YouTube channel, frankly, why wouldn't you just trade your own money at that point? You would make more money than you would with the combine. But you know why you use the combine? Because the strategy that you're using has a high risk of ruin and you know it. So that's what I will say about that. But like I said, that particular individual, I don't know a whole lot about how they trade, but I just watched like one video and I said that I'm not interested in the way that they trade. And that's all I can say about them specifically. Is because of margin and money? Well, then I would save all of that money that you would make from the combine and start my own account. Because you're giving up like X% of it to them. And if you're if you're as successful enough to make a combine and trade that way all the time, then you will more than easily make that up over a year. So I'm new to this channel. What do you trade in futures? I gotta get going. I got like 3 minutes. I'm trading ES and the 10-year treasury. And I will say, if you don't understand the treasuries, I would look into it. I don't say that you don't need to trade them, but I would keep an eye on them. And when things are getting scary, treasury's a good trade. It's a lot easier to just go long the treasury and sit back and relax and try and pick up a trade in the mess that is the ES when it's a bearish day. Yeah, put your money into account and trade. Just go, yeah. Why wouldn't you just trade your own account? If you're that successful. Because my opinion is you trade the combine for two reasons. One, because you don't know what you're doing and you don't actually want to risk a whole lot of money and you're willing to just throw away $150 a month. Or B, you're like using the largest combine. Yeah, come back for moral support. Yeah, I don't like to make this channel to be like, here's how you should trade. I should be more careful about this is the way that I trade, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Is it efficient? It's very efficient, and it tends not to go very far. If it's going more than 2 ticks away from me, then you probably did something wrong. Okay, I gotta go because I got a meeting now. So I will see you guys. What should we do for today? Monday leads to more Unreal longs. Another Unreal melt up. That's what we'll call it. I will see you guys tomorrow. 8:20 Eastern time is when we start. 8:20 Eastern time. So I'll see you guys then. Make sure you hit the like button, but then also subscribe and hit the bell icon, because if you hit the bell icon, then you get notifications when we go live. So it's a lot easier to follow this stream that way, right? So I'll see you guys then. And in the meantime, stay profitable.